Hear that? Nothing? Me neither. But that's the perfect spot for your company's name to step into the spotlight. Become an underwriter for As You Mic It and let every episode be your curtain call. Slip a note to podcast@pashakespeare.org for more information.
If that's not part of the interview, I don't know what we're doing here. I just have to say, like, that's some people in that audience are going to go like, I have no idea what a +4 modifier is. But others are just like, yes, tell me more. Hello and welcome to As You Mic It, the official podcast of Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival. I'm Jason King Jones, Artistic Director here at PSF. We're continuing our weekly In the Spotlight series, where we take a closer look at the artists and productions that make up Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival's summer season. Our next guest has built a career at the intersection of Shakespeare, storytelling, stage combat. As an actor, he's tackled iconic roles, including Iago, Mark Antony, and now Coriolanus. And as a fight master and former president of the Society of American Fight Directors, he's also helped shape the craft for countless artists across the country. This summer, he's pulling double duty at Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival as both the title character in Coriolanus and the production's fight choreographer. Geoffrey Kent, welcome to As You Mic It.
A delight to be here. Let's talk about action in Shakespeare today.
Right. You're also a director. In fact, you just finished stint at Utah Shakespeare Festival. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I just directed a lovely farce there called See How They Run by Philip King, written around World War II, and kind of in response to the anxiety of that, but an escapist farce with four vicars and running around for various reasons and knowing which vicar's which and all the chaos that comes from, as you imagine, a farce,
Right.
A four-door farce, so like a intermediate level farce.
Only 4 doors.
Yeah, Noises has got 9, so a few less doors than that. Had a great time. Also was fight director there for their production of Troilus and Cressida, a play I was visiting for the second time, and a play that has a great deal of wonderful violence that tells story.
Oh, wonderful. You are based out of Colorado, but as a director, actor, fight director, you've worked all over the country. How did you find yourself being a troubadour actor that has to sometimes microwave his underwear in order to dry it off because the dryer and washing machine doesn't work in the housing?
It was a morning. Well, I discovered quite early that I didn't enjoy learning the theatrical experience in a classroom.
Okay.
I can't quite put my finger on why. I've never really enjoyed classroom experiences, which is ironic because I love teaching.
Yeah.
But for some reason, sitting in a chair and learning how to do something to me is just antithetical to the way my body receives information. And I don't know that I knew it that complex when I was 18, but I very quickly dropped out of college. I was an undergrad for less than a semester. And I was working at Boulder's Dinner Theater in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then was picking up some stage crew shifts here and there and just watching actors roll through the kitchen. And, we do family meal and just the experience of feeling adjacent to that theatrical experience. And I knew I loved theater. So then I was doing community theater, and I worked at a bookshop, and then I was working for an insurance reference company, and weirdly in my mid-20s, making more money then than I do today, because most things pay better than this calling we have to be storytellers. But I did a little bit of Shakespeare then, and God forbid anyone saw that. I didn't know what I was, again, no classes. I'm just kind of memorizing words and saying them. And then someone asked me if I want to take a stage combat class. And I was like, that sounds interesting because I like Shakespeare.
Sure.
And so he was playing Edmund in a production of Lear. He's taught a 3-weapon certification course. By the end of it, there was only 4 of us.
Wow.
Like people kind of had dropped out, but we were getting all this attention. And what I discovered, and I don't quite know where it came from, but when I had a sword in my hand, I understood how to act. And when I didn't, I did not. And I think when we talk about acting a lot, it's like playable actions. Like you have the line, but also what do you want? Like what is the thing underneath the line, right, as an actor? And I felt like to slash, to smash, to distance, to stab, to escape, all these really meaty playable actions are very connected to stage combat.
Right.
So suddenly I was like, oh, sword fighting is acting, and I am not an athlete. I have no ability to shoot a basket, hit a ball, do any of those things. But if you cast me as the hero or the villain and you put a sword in my hand, suddenly the characters started to make more sense, martial characters.
Right.
And I discovered that I had an ability to pick up that skill way faster than anything I had learned at that point in my life, like where a sword needed to go, what distance was, what the safeties were.
Sure.
And then that skill just kept expanding in my life. So my day job got smaller because suddenly I was teaching workshops at first. I remember my first choreography gig was a production of The Outsiders at a middle school. Yeah. No one died. But I probably gave them steel knives. I mean, I had no idea, right? No one died. I wouldn't be here if someone died, probably. Then started doing high schools. That was making extra money.
Yeah.
Then started doing college productions, which, every time I did that, I was working with slightly more experience, bigger ideas, directors that had ideas. And then I started teaching at the National Theater Conservatory, which was the MFA program at the Denver Center for the Performing Arts, housed there, no longer exists, sadly.
Yeah.
But
RIP.
they brought me in to teach stage combat to students that were older than me. And I was like this kind of weird sword fighting child that was teaching grad students and trying to get them to go, no, trust me, I know you know lots of things. I just know this thing. Let me teach you this thing. And then they would go across the street and be parts of the acting company as understudies and small roles. And they were doing shows and they were like, well, we need this violence. I need this violence. And my students kept going, you should just go get Jeff. He's across the street. He can do this. And so I ended up in professional fight direction through my MFA students who were championing me.
Wow.
Which just means the world, And I still work with these students because they're professional actors. Biko, who was here last year, one of my students.
Oh,
right?
amazing. Yeah.
So that led to fight direction. And fight direction suddenly had me in the room with high-end directors, high-end actors at major regional theaters in my area, where I just had this specific set of skills, like Liam Neeson. And but then what started happening is they went, well, why don't you just play this part? He doesn't have a lot of lines. It's a big fight, and it's your skill set. And at my first season at Colorado Shakespeare Festival, they were like auditioning Laertes, various Laertes.
Oh, right.
And they were like, let's go through your stage combat experience. And one guy was like, well, I took this class in college. And another guy was like, I'm certified in these two weapons. And I'm like, well, I'm a certified teacher. I've been fight directing for 15 years. And, and you watch them, not 15 at that point, maybe let's say 5, to not juice the story. And they were like, and so suddenly I was cutting in front of the line of people who had extensive amounts of training. And I'm not disparaging training. Training is beautiful. But my skills were more important to the director than theirs.
Sure.
Because they wanted a good sword fight. And then now suddenly you're just in the room and you're getting a chance to work with great actors. And I always say I learned acting as like a blacksmith learns how to make a sword. I learned it as a trade by just being in rehearsal after rehearsal. Some years in the Denver Center, I'd fight direct all 11 shows. Wow. So I'm in 11 production meetings with 11 different directors, with 100 different actors, and all of them are career. And you just absorb. So that's kind of what led me into that. And then, of course, fight direction and acting kind of propelled me into direction because as a fight director, I kept getting up into actors' business. Like, let's talk about poison and like how this model, how it would affect the speech. Right, and then the director's like, why are you talking to my actors about their death monologue? They're stabbed. Your job is done, bro. Yeah. And I think that made me go, oh, I need to expand I desire to expand my lens to a bigger form of collaboration and leadership. And the first play I directed was the Scottish play set in the Wild West, because I was like, let's do that. Got it self-produced, and it was successful enough and extended its run that I was able to get other producers to see it, and then that led to more directing. And now to this day, I really do those 3 jobs. I act, I fight to direct, and I direct, and they speak to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is not a typical career path for anybody in the business.
And a reminder that the route to that rehearsal room is unique for everybody. Yeah. It does not matter how you got in that room. Yeah. Because you were local and cheap, great. Because you were related to someone, great. Because the playwright wanted you, great. It doesn't matter. It's what you do once you're in there. Yeah. How do you make the most of it? How do you sit there and watch other great people work and learn from them and ask them questions? That the greatest masterclass ever is being in a rehearsal process with artists.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so excited because I know you're a D&D fan, and I read your article in the Quill, so that really sort of clued me in on everything. I'm wondering, would we be able to do a character sheet?
I think we should. Yeah, let's do it.
Wonderful. Will you tell everybody your character name?
My character's name is Coriolanus.
Imagine that.
Caius Marcius Coriolanus, if we're going the full route.
Sure. Most importantly, please tell me his class and level.
I think, depending on where we want to build him from, but let's say he's where he is at the top of the play, he's a barbarian. I thought about it today, and I was like, I don't think he's a fighter. I think he's a barbarian because his inherent rage at literally everyone he meets seems to suit a barbarian class. So I think he would be a barbarian.
That's very wise.
Yeah.
So at the top of the play, then would he be what, level 16, level 17?
Yeah, my memory of like once we get into higher levels is for anyone who's played D&D, getting above level 5 is almost impossible because it involves getting the same group of 6 people together for
years.
So my knowledge of the higher level ranks only exists when I was a kid. I would dream up like level 20 characters just to imagine what that would be.
Right.
But my knowledge of skill sets above 5 is pretty shallow because I never get there. But I think Coriolanus would certainly be in those upper echelons. So
Excellent.
high level barbarian.
Excellent. So I'm assuming that we're going to go with a human, but do you have a
I
different
think he's
race?
human, but there was a part of me that was like, he's also kind of half orc. Because again, one that lends itself well to a barbarian class because it's going to be pretty strength and constitution based, which I think are going to be his skills. But if he's half orc, it's only because in the Coriolanus, it's inside my mind that the audience doesn't see as someone about 4 inches taller and about 30 more pounds of muscle than Jeff has.
And
I'm not saying his mother is an orc for anyone who's following along at home.
it's his dad.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the other important questions is, can you tell me a little bit about his alignment?
Oh, that's a really good idea. Let's see. I think he has to be lawful because he has a set of structures that he follows that's so rigid. So he's definitely lawful, but I wouldn't give him a lawful good just based on the language he uses, nor would I say he's lawful evil. I think at his core, he's probably lawful neutral or chaotic good in the sense that he does what he can for Rome, but he does it the way he wants to do it, not the way Rome wants him to do it.
Yeah, I think that the lawful neutral actually does fit in nicely because he does have that sort of very fixed ethos that he follows in life.
I like that. Let's go with that.
Okay, let's go with that. Does he have any particular skills that you want to talk about?
Well, I would think that he would have a reckless attack, which is, a barbarian archetype, which allows you to just do more damage, be more dangerous at great risk to yourself.
Naturally.
And then I think he's probably alert. That's another skill set I think he would have. I think he's quick in reaction. But he's also, I want to say it's tough is one of the feats, which is that he just can withstand a lot of damage. A lot of people in this play talk about just how many scars and wounds he has, which just led me to barbarian because he gets hit all the time, and it's kind of a point of pride. I just watched the Odyssey movie where they were teaching Telemachus that what you do is you offer a target so your enemy will go for it so you can take advantage. You literally display weakness to receive an attack to do damage, which feels barbarian, feels very Coriolanus.
Sure.
Who's covered in blood, and he says none of it's his, but we're pretty sure some of it's his.
And I guess the most important question is, when you rolled this character, did you min-max him or?
Probably. I mean, I definitely would. I like a barter system with points.
Nice.
And I don't know where his stats would be at 16. They'd probably be somewhat ridiculous. I think he would disdain magic items. He would just want it to be himself. But I would think this is going to be a very high strength class. Several of those things those feats also boost strength and constitution, very high constitution, if anything, even higher than his strength. Because I think his ability to withstand damage and keep going is central to his skill. And then I would say he has a very low intelligence in terms of just how things work. And I would say he also has a rock bottom charisma. Because I, Jeff, like to play kind of charismatic characters who can use guile and technique, in a Iago style structure. But Coriolanus has none of that ability to be artificial in any way, shape, or form, which is to me part of what charisma is, which is letting someone receive you as who you are. So I would say his charisma has got to be a negative. It's got to be down in like 8. And I'd say his intelligence ain't far behind, but I think he's got some wisdom. Because he understands how his part of the world works really well. And I think it's a high strength constitution class.
Yeah, that's why he's in the party with his mom.
Yeah, his mom casts a spell on him all the time. So she's definitely a magic user.
Yeah, she's got a +4 modifier to her charisma.
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you very much for that.
He'd be a blast to play. And need a lot of healing.
All right, thank you so much for that.
That's nerds.
Well, that article we wrote kept trying to figure out what's my in. I told you, I can't really talk about Coriolanus because while it's a play I've desired and a play I've wanted to be a part of my life, I'd rather deliberately not studied it because I wanted to, when I received it, then attack it as a new play. But that meant I was like, well, I can't really write an article about here's how Coriolanus works because I don't know yet. But I can talk about, I didn't realize that when I was in 7th grade, the 3 things I love doing the most in this game were going to be the 3 things I did for a living. And it feels like there's a part of me that just is still in playing a game.
Well, can I ask, because you're playing Coriolanus now, you have a rehearsal process that is limited to 4 days, really, tops, including a fight. But if you're still open to learning, my question for you is, what have you learned about acting in this process that you didn't know before?
Yeah, I think what is truly unique about the collaborative nature of an Extreme Shakespeare process is that everyone has agency, including yourself. So there's no one to negotiate with when you're like, I don't think this is working. I need to reinvent. A lot of times when you're an actor and you're heading into tech and into previews, a lot of notes are coming at you. You're getting dialect notes, you're getting speech notes, you're getting directing notes. And so when you hit that stage at the top of the play, you've got this checklist in your head to get the A grade of achieving all the notes. And many of those notes you may have not had a chance to work. So you're going to, in the run, on the fly, process all of that input. In an Extreme Shakespeare, the only person that's giving you that input is you. And there's a tremendous freedom and responsibility to being in charge of moving yourself forward every day with no one else you're pushing yourself forward. That agency, to me, is what means every actor should do it. Even if it's not your thing, you should try to get back to that college vibe of putting on a show. And where we're all in it together. And you can also watch other people take agency and make huge. Last night we were running it, and sometimes I looked, I'm like, no one is where they were yesterday. Like the entirety of my group is all in different locations because they entered differently and it triggered. And you're like so present and you're so listening because you don't really, I still don't exactly know where my cue is coming from. I don't really know who says it. I just know what it is in my head. So I'm listening harder than I normally do. And for prepping this script, I cut out all the dialogue that wasn't mine and just gave myself cue lines because that's the most I could memorize is my lines and 3 words, which is what we think Shakespeare did. But that means I am listening harder in an Extreme Shakespeare than I could in any play because I don't actually know whether that cue's coming in a page or in 5 words. So you're just like ping, 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 ping. That is what acting is. So this enhances that.
And you're not you have some experience doing these original practices, Extreme Shakespeare. Can you talk a little bit about your other opportunities to do this?
Yeah, man, we've done the Colorado Shakespeare Festival does them too. I was there when we first started those. That was wild because there were some actors in it that were just basically resistant to the entirety of it. that just kind of didn't want to be there.
Oh wow.
Or really wanted to make it into what other rehearsal processes are, which you just cannot. The clock's ticking. There's no time to have to sit and discuss. And not all actors can just jump off the bench and go. Or rather, I think all actors can, but if they've never done it before, there's a huge fear to that. And then I've been around ASC, which does a whole season of this. Their Ren season. I haven't done their Ren season, but I've been around while they've built it and watched them start a play after us and open it before us. And you're like, how is this possible? Because that show's good, really good.
ASC being?
American Shakespeare Center in Stanton, Virginia, which I said Staunton when I showed up and was mocked mercilessly. And then Jim's team does it down at Orlando Shakes, and I have a bunch of friends that work down there. So I'm a huge proponent of some form of this programming because you get to see the artists in a different way because they're the ones doing the painting. So there's a lot of ownership. And I think they're all unique. Part of approaching this process was me talking to Greg and you about how does it work here just so I can set my expectation. Because it's easy for us to kind of make fun of the play in this process because laughter is a cookie. And when you're an actor, getting a laugh can make you feel validated. So it can be very easy to bend things towards humor. But the other thing Extreme Shakespeare productions do that I think is great, and I think you even said this to me when we spoke, is that actually we allow the humor takes up more, finds more places to cling to because there's not a director to go, we don't want to laugh there. There's not a director to be like, this scene's sad, we can't have humor in it. Which of course, I always say like I've cried the hardest at weddings and I've laughed the hardest at funerals because those two things are so deeply intertwined that that we're very emotionally available. So when the gallows humor shows up in Romeo and Juliet, it's still kind of necessary to release the pressure a little bit so that we can re-engage with the tragedy again. So one thing about Extreme is like those weird lines that are just right at the very end of this play. Coriolanus is like, you slave, sorry, this is the first time I've ever had to insult anybody. And he's been insulting people the whole play.
Yeah,
and so you get the audience to kind of go like, yeah, that's the first time you've ever insulted. And you're like, another production would either cut that line or maybe want to bend it so we don't get that laugh there. Other productions would. But in Extreme Shakespeare, I think the text takes precedent, and I think there's something really glorious about that.
Yeah, I've experienced that. There's a richness to the human experience when you just let the words be there and let the actors just say what's there.
Yeah, it also proves. I think sometimes we feel these Shakespeare plays require a fix, and I will say that there are Shakespeare plays that I would be reticent to approach without a directorial idea that's going to bring us through that. Merchant of Venice, Taming of the Shrew. These are plays that in a modern lens can be a bit unpalatable and cruel. And not that cruelty can't be a part of storytelling, because many fables are full of cruelty, right? I just watched the Odyssey. That is nothing but cruelty to him and his men for hours, right?
Yeah. And cruelty exacted from them
right,
upon
and then right
the
back,
people,
right?
Yeah.
So like, it's not that we're looking for an absence of cruelty in the structure, but I don't know if I think that's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, no, there's a very rich experience.
Yeah.
Now, you have some experience doing this, and you're on the stage, ever so briefly, but you're on stage with folks who have never done this before. Yeah. What's it like for you to watch people interact with an original practices or an Extreme Shakespeare for the first time?
I think one of the things that's great when you're playing a central character in a Shakespeare play like this is that you do get to have a scene with everybody, right? I have text with everyone. Often we were saying, you're in a play, you're in subplot B, you might mostly just act to those two people. Yeah. And really everyone else is kind of, and then you're out there on Act 5 like, hey, how's your show going? You don't really interact. Or if you're Hotspur, you don't see Hal until you face off. Right. And they're in their own silos. Yeah. But as Coriolanus, I checked, there's no one in this play I don't have a line of dialogue with. So I think the joy of finding, like the young company in this, the youth company, right?
Yeah, the young company,
they came to the table just hungry for red meat. Like they came out swinging, making big choices with text. They clearly, one of the things about having no rehearsal time is you have to prep. You've got to prep. You can't show up cold.
Oh yeah.
And I've been at plenty of table reads in my life where, as we read it, you can spot the people who have cracked this page today and are in trouble. Right. Yeah. I've been that actor. I did Caius, not Caius, that's this guy. I was in Merry Wives and I'm playing the French guy, and I had not read any of the jokes, and I just tanked at the table read.
Dr. Caius.
Yeah, it is Caius. And I was like, I failed. Because I'd done Iago the same season, and I was like, I have no time for this. Right. And then I showed the room that I did not have time for this.
Oh boy.
Very embarrassing. Did not happen at our table read here. Everyone, partially because of the time schedule, but partially because I believe they had done a tour.
Yeah.
They've gotten those laps in. And so they're making big choices. So I feel like my job as a central character in an Extreme Shakespeare piece is to make sure no one feels that the burden of that means I can't take on a request that you have of me. Can you regender these lines for me so that my character can be female identifying? Can you be a little more stage right so I can do this? Like, in my job is to yes and that, and make sure I'm going to each one of them going, hey, if you've got something, just know, either try it and I'll just ride the wave with you, or let me know what you need of me. I'm capable of that. So that it feels like an ensemble.
There's this scene where you come into Tullus Ophidius' house and there are all these servants. They have no idea who you are. They just treat you like trash, right? Like you've just come away, like, the
and now
apex of your power.
And he's got servants talking trash about him.
Talking trash about you, hitting you with towels, and just completely like disrespecting you left and right.
This play does this great job of putting him on a massive descent, and it throws him down that hill at the end right at intermission. It literally, we talk about the Tarpeian Rock that you're basically thrown off of, and he literally is basically thrown out of town. Yeah, and spoiler, and but the great thing is like Shakespeare throws these servant scenes around a lot. It's where his lowbrow comedy exists, and you're almost always going to be doing that with the young actors who are doing some of their first shows, right? And it's their scene, and it's just fun to let them run around and talk crap about me.
Yeah. Do you have similar experiences with young companies or younger non-equity kinds of experiences when you're at Utah or you're at ASC? Or you have that experience as well?
Yeah, and when we talk about how I came into this, where my first show at the Denver Center for the Performing Arts, and I was like, I'm in a show at the Denver Center. my high school took field trips here.
Right.
And I'm in the room and we're doing the table read of Hamlet. And I don't think I have any lines in this play. So I have my book closed and I am just watching a table read. I mean, Tony Church is playing.
Oh my God.
He's playing what's he playing? Playing Player King and the Gravedigger. Tony Church is a member of the Royal Shakespeare Company and founded the National Theatre Conservatory. Yeah. And I'm sitting next to him, and I can't deal. I'm so starstruck by this. And a room full of resident company actors that have been there for 20 years, all famous to me.
Yeah.
And there's this moment in Act 4 where Horatio's like, what letters? And I'm like, and then everybody looks at me. And I was like, oh, I have a line. I think I have a line. And I'm flipping through and I'm both horrifyingly embarrassed, but also like, I can't wait to see. I didn't know I had a line. And my line was like, letters for you, my lord, though I know not what. That's my big line. And I will never forget that. I will also, because I was doing it with the grad students at the time who were my students, so I would teach them stage combat and then we would go to Hamlet rehearsal together, that I will never forget what it was like to watch and listen and be afraid to make a choice because you feel like you don't have the status to make a choice.
Right.
In fact, I think I made a big choice with that letter scene the first time we blocked it. And my director was like, you don't have to do that much. And by much, I was making like 9 choices, and because I wanted to try.
Sure.
But I was like, I am constantly trying to create an environment where no one feels afraid to try something, at least as it relates to me.
Yeah.
So that you know their name, you invite them to make a choice, you encourage them. If they got a question, you encourage them to ask it, or you help answer it. And because you want to, rising tide lifts all boats. You want to all feel like everybody has a piece. The play I just directed, The Farce. See how they run. Old school farce. Several characters just leave the play and you don't really know they're never coming back. They just exit the scene and don't have a moment. And I don't like that. I like every character to have a moment. I like in a comedy, every actor in the comedy, I will build a laugh on you if I have to, but you're going to have some laugh to chase in this show because you don't want to be the person in the comedy who just delivers exposition and is I don't care if you're a non-speaking waiter, we're going to make a bit for you.
Sure.
So that you get to own a piece of that comedy.
Right. Yeah, awesome. So as a fight choreographer for Coriolanus, that Act 1 has, I think, 11 scenes, and 8 of them are battle scenes, and you have 4 days of rehearsal. Yeah. How did you and the ensemble navigate what was going to happen for the storytelling that's required, and knowing that that's still just Act 1 of a 5-act play?
Well, I definitely feel like this, not unlike Titus Andronicus and a couple others, it basically, Henry 6-1 does this too. Act 1, it feels like Act 5 of another play.
Yeah.
So you're feeling like the play begins by ending itself, and then that end launches the actual play, which is Acts 2 through 5.
Yeah.
And I saw a production of Julius Caesar at Ashland, a friend of mine was in, where they used the entire ensemble to be everybody's army. So when Brutus talked to the army, they turned to the left, then the light shift, poof, they pivoted right, and then they talked to Mark Antony's army, and they were both armies. And I was like, that is genius, because we never have enough actors to make an army. And when you start divvying up your 8 actors into 3 armies, those armies get comically small. And you're now doing these like impassioned speeches to 3 people because everybody's off stage waiting to enter to be their army.
Right.
And so the best part about Extreme Shakespeare is I was like, I have a pitch. Let's let this group of 6 or 8 that we have be all the armies so that we're not running on and off with 2 and 3 people. And that's what we're doing. And like that's not an idea as an actor you would throw at a director, really. I mean, maybe as a fight director because I'm a designer. Sure. But as an actor, I would never go to the director and go, you know what we should do is let's design this scene towards this because that's not our agency.
Right.
But in Extreme, the best idea wins, right? Literally.
Yeah.
So we built that. And very smartly, Greg, who I'm sure our audiences know.
Yeah, Greg Wood. Absolutely.
Greg Wood is the man. And he did the cut for the script, but he also siphoned the violence essentially down to just me and Ophidius to let it be the metaphor for it. And also knowing with 4 days, we can't choreograph a dozen small battles that would it would eat up all the time we had. So it's just me and Ophidius kind of with the knife fight. But I will tell you that me and David doing that knife fight, we choreographed it on a Saturday, changed it on Sunday, changed it on Tuesday, changed it yesterday. And like, I have never been that free with late action changes because normally when you're building action, you've been rehearsing it for weeks. You do those late changes, your body doesn't want to do it. Well, we don't even really know it yet. Right. So changing it is really easy
You're
because
just kind
we're
of
like
dancing with a partner and just like,
we made it too short and then it was too long, and like because we wanted to go kind of at speed, but if it gets too long, it gets dangerous. So we kind of built just a little piece, but I still have realized I have a whole thing about my left arm being hurt,
and we
we haven't built that wound in yet.
Yeah.
So we'll do that today.
Oh, nice. I was wondering.
Yep.
I was like, well, when does that?
That story just hasn't been told, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, because if you're listening, Shakespeare's he doesn't give you stage direction, but if you listen to the words,
Yeah.
my favorite is you'll always rehearse an Extreme Shakespeare. You walk in and talk to someone, and then they go, please stand, and you're standing, and you're like, Shakespeare has now told me I'm supposed to be kneeling, but after I should have kneeled. You know,
Yeah.
So you're constantly getting stage directions from your partners, and then going, okay, let's take that back because I didn't realize. Again, listening. You got to listen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In this process, people are just making offerings and the best idea in the room wins. If you have a director and you see the bad idea that the director is going down, the choice that you're on a road and that the director has taken you down, you're miles down this bad idea and you can't really say anything. All you can do is figure out how to work within those parameters. Not to cast aspersions on anybody, but knowing the experience that you have, knowing you've been there, is there any story you can share?
I would just say the number of times, like I was working on a Shakespeare play that the director wanted to add a bunch of music to, which is fine. I love music. You know, Shakespeare's are almost, and when people ask me, can I direct a musical? I'm like, I've directed Shakespeare. I can direct a musical.
Sure, yeah.
And he'd added like 14 songs, and it's a comedy, and it's clocking in at 3:15.
That's a long night.
Tell me the last comedy you saw. That was 3 hours long. There's a reason sitcoms are 22 and dramas are 44. Like our attention span for comedy is much shorter because the stakes are different in the way the bubble pops, right? And you're just like, and our curtain call had 3 songs in it. And we were going into overtime, so he'd gotten the you have to make it 3. It can't go over. And he was so resistant to that we'd set up a series of cue lights that his hope was if we went fast enough that at 10:58 we would get a cue light saying we're doing the full curtain call, and if we were going too slow at 10:58 we get a cue light we were doing the shorter call, which was all the same songs just sung slightly shorter, because he was just so desperate to have this mega mix ending like ABBA,
boy.
right?
Wow.
And you're just like, and then they made him cut stuff, and what did he cut? He started cutting scenes, not songs. The songs he added stayed, and then he just kept cutting more and more of the scenes till it just wasn't making sense, and you're just watching all of that.
Yeah.
And in an Extreme Shakespeare process, that just wouldn't happen because the room would just turn and be like, we're not doing that. We're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, everyone gets a vote up here. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of democracy adjacent.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, any director that says all ideas are welcome is great, but there's still someone who's in charge in a modern theatrical context of editing the ideas into a cohesive piece.
Right.
Whereas in an Extreme, the group's in charge of that. And it may be in some ways it doesn't shift into a cohesive piece, and that doesn't make it bad because you discover that the plays are sloppy. And sometimes the fact that the tenor changes and the style changes bends itself to the play, you know. For example, like, are the musicians in Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are the musicians
the Act 4 clowns?
No, we
Yeah.
started with them. We had them like strum.
You
And
sure
we're like,
did.
we're cutting that.
Yeah, right? I've been in so many Romeo and Juliets that are like, we're keeping it, and then go, we're cutting it. If we were doing an Extreme, we would keep it just
Sure.
because no one does.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, let's put this in here to see what Shakespeare really thought he was doing, and not try it and then before it opens go, wait, which is what I would do as a director. As an actor, I'm like, let the audience decide if that works, because they're here to see something that is not filtered through a singular coach or quarterback, right?
Yeah.
They're going to watch the whole team coach themselves. So it's like pickup flag football versus professional football.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little more random, and I think some of the randomness is sexy.
Yeah. Knowing that you've got to go into rehearsal, I want to ask one final question based on this, and that's about conflict resolution. When you're dealing with a team where it's like best ideas in the room win, but knowing that like Coriolanus, some people have egos, and some people get hung up on an idea. How have you found yourselves navigating those moments where like two people have a competing idea?
Yeah, I would say that it makes for a healthier company in the long run because we're constantly negotiating each other's ideas, right? We can't go, well, let's go to the director. But there is no director to go to. So no one's coming to save you. But there's definitely been moments where like in the first 3 days, everyone's yes-anding. And then on Tuesday after the day off, some of the no buts we talk about come in, which is no, but what if I? And I would say that like I tried not to employ a no but. And then on Tuesday, I encountered 2 or 3 of those that I was like, oh, interesting. And I was just tracking. Why am I less receptive? And I think it's because you can feel the audience coming. Yeah. Because they're coming. Yeah. And you're like, I don't know if I have the bandwidth to incorporate that specific thing into my arc in time for it to be shown to the paying customers. Yeah. And so, but I was like, oh, and so then yesterday I dropped that and went back to I'm just going to say yes to it because for all I know, it's a better idea than the thing I'm looking for anyway. And so I think it's about, it's like having an argument with your spouse. You're like, I hear you. However, I think it would be better if, right? So you still are trying to be very respectful about it. But I encountered a few things I asked, and then people were like, that's not going to really work for me. And I was like, okay, cool. And like, we all have the same amount of votes. The great thing about this particular, at least this group, is I don't feel like anyone is like, has more votes than anyone else does. Like sometimes when you're in a normal rehearsal process, the bigger the part, the more space they take up, just because of the nature of the percentage of times they're talking. Coriolanus is the 4th largest role in Shakespeare after Hamlet, Richard III, and Iago. And so uncut, he's about 900. Uncut, he's also, I think he has 42% of the lines in the play.
That's a lot.
It's brutal. And the last thing you want to do is act like because of that, you have more votes. Yeah. The worst thing that actually happens out there is how often I look down and I'm like, and I'm center stage. And it's because I talk the most, so I want people to see what I'm saying. But I'm still trying to find places to get down on the vom line to let. Yeah. I mean, when my mom talks to me, I shut the hell up and get in the corner. You know, let mom have stage. And she's amazing, right? Yeah. But for the rest of them, I'm constantly trying to figure out how can I give stage to these people? How can I give them space?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's funny, PSF, because we've been doing these original practice, Extreme Shakespeare, for such a long time, there is a bit of a culture of artists in the room with a director who's just like, that's a great idea, but can I make an offering? Yeah. And so there's a little bit more of a dialogue where we're like, I see what you're trying to do here, Jason. I think our whole Romeo and Juliet, and you haven't seen it yet, but the whole dance sequence around the Romeo and Juliet really evolved, starting with the idea that I had, and then people are kind of going, okay, I see what you're doing, but you're not quite getting where you want to go. What if we did this? What if we did this? And so we were able to collaborate collectively to kind of get to that next place.
Yeah. And don't you feel like, the philosophy I try to say as a director all the time is like, not only is the best idea wins, the best plays I'm on when they're done, something succeeds, the audience responds, and I don't remember who came up with that. Yeah. I don't know. Nobody owns it because because it came out of us. Yeah. And if that then trickles into the other shows, as it is managed by the directors, it can be really wonderful because you never want to be a director that's threatened by an actor who's got an idea. Right. And the worst thing you can do is not let them try it because they'll spend the whole run knowing they were right. But if you give them the agency to try it, we might both look at it and go, actually, that didn't work, did it? And you're like, nah, it's terrible. And then everybody feels great because they got to try it and now it's out. Right. Yeah. And also when they try that idea, whether it works or not, it may be leading us to the right. Yeah. How many times do we all try to figure out how to end a play? What's the stage picture? How do we send this to intermission? Well, it takes a company to figure it out. Yeah.
And sometimes somebody's got an itch they need to scratch. You got to let them scratch it and then figure out really what's that thing that's leading to the best idea.
Yeah. Create space for it to be collaborative, especially if we think that that's almost assuredly what Shakespeare's companies were because of the speed with which they stage them. Yeah. That while modern iterations allow us to make the show shinier with more tech, more design, more fully realized directorial ideas, if we ever lose fact of the people that are up there, the ones that have to make it work, and then if they don't have their teeth into the thing I've given them, I need to help find the thing that they can sink their teeth into because it'll never work if they don't own it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that, we're going to let you own a little bit of your time off before you get back into rehearsal. Geoffrey Kent, thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for taking the trek out here and being a part of this summer's artistic company. And thanks for being on As You Mic It.
My friend, I've heard great things about this company. And when I saw you last summer and we found this opportunity, I was thirsty and delighted, not just for the play, but for a chance to come out here. Thank you.
Thanks.
And that wraps up another episode of As You Mic It. A huge thanks to Geoffrey Kent for joining us today. Coriolanus is running through August 2nd in our Schubert Theater. For tickets, timelines, and information on our prologues, epilogues, dinners, and more, visit our website at pashakespeare.org or call our box office at 610-282-WILL. That's 610-282-9455. For all of us here at As You Mic It and Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival, thanks for listening, and we'll see you at La Buddha. Thank you for listening to As You Mic It, a Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival presentation recorded on the beautiful campus of DeSales University. Our music is by Cedric Lamar, with hosts Jason King-Jones, Kim Carson, and Connie Berenger. Our podcast intern is James Nardiello. For more information on our summer theater series, giving opportunities, tickets, and more, visit our website at pashakespeare.org. Be sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you at La Buddha.
Behind every standing ovation is a network of patrons who know that theater changes lives. With tickets funding only half the cost, PSF counts on contributions to produce world-class theater, cultivate new audiences, and nurture future generations of artists. Give today at pashakespeare.org/support. Great theater is a collaboration both on stage and off.